And welcome to Fantasy Baseball Camp episode 7. This is episode 7. We are going to be talking about prospects here in this episode. Prospects that are soon to impact, prospects that are hot, dynasty prospects possibly, and even then eventually we'll get into our who we think are the top 5 prospects in fantasy baseball. Not necessarily baseball, but fantasy baseball prospects. There's a very big difference in the fantasy baseball world and the actual prospect baseball world. And then another segment we'll have on here is the Worryometer. Are you worried about your elite player that you spent so much draft capital on? So let's jump right into it. Prospects. Tommy, you got prospect that you are eyeing right now. Is he up? Is he down? What's going on?
Yeah, I've got a prospect that interests me. He's not up right now. He's with the Reds organization. That's Elly De La Cruz. He spent the first part of this year on the IL, the minor league IL, with a hamstring injury. But he's basically a repeat of O'Neill Cruz. And so O'Neill Cruz had a couple rough years, but he started to break out this year before the injury. But Elly De La Cruz is a true 5-tool player. He's at least on the grading out of 80 report. He's got a 40 hit, 70 game power, 70 raw power, and a 70 speed. You do not see that every day. He's right now, at least on CBS, he's got eligibility at shortstop and third base. I think he's probably going to be a mid-season call-up, so he's not going to be a near-term impact. But he does have a high strikeout rate right now, and I think just with his swing and miss, he could hurt you. He's probably more of a categories play. But Elly De La Cruz is, I think, a consensus top prospect. Once top 10, once the guys now graduate, and he's somebody I want to watch out for. He's starting out slow right now. He just threw a couple games, but he's got all the tools to be an impact player at a position where we can make a difference at third base and shortstop.
Yeah, having a shortstop with 5 tools. I just think of Troy Tulowitzki when he first came up. He had a hit tool, hitting for 300 home runs. The notes here I see on De La Cruz is that he has a chance to be a true 5-tool all-star. Not player, a 5-tool all-star sooner rather than later. And so that you'd hope that guy comes right up, makes an immediate fantasy impact. Do you think he could end up finishing for the second half a top 5 shortstop? Not top 5, sorry. No, not top 5. Top 10.
From the time he comes up on?
From the time he comes up on.
That may be a lot. There's a lot of good shortstops if they all come back healthy for a rookie to come up and make that adjustment. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility, but I think 10 would be maybe his ceiling for this year. I think long term, maybe just for redraft, for dynasty, you'd want to roster him. But inside the top 10, there's a lot of good shortstops right now. That'd be pushing it.
He does play in. Yeah, I was about to say he plays in Great American Ballpark, probably number 2 to Coors Field. So that helps, but also you don't know where the Reds are going to be at, what kind of protection in the lineup he would have. It always helps when prospects can come up and immediately just have protection around him and not have so much weight on their shoulders. But yeah, that's Elly De La Cruz, the Cincinnati Reds' number 1 prospect, 21 years old. He's currently at AAA, so he's knocking on the door. Do you have stats? What he's currently doing right now at AAA, Tommy?
It'd probably better if I didn't read them. So I'll tell you this: in AA, he had a 134 WRC plus, and his slash line was 305, 357, and 553. He was fantastic. He had a torn hamstring. He's only had 5 games, 23 at bats. He's got a minus 24 WRC plus. I didn't know that was possible. And with a 091, 130, 227. So I'm not putting a lot of weight in that. It's came up. He's early. He's AAA. It's a new level. I think
he's only played 6 games.
Yeah,
he's only played 6 games. It's cold. It's cold in Louisville right now.
That's why I said I don't want to tell you the stats, but look at his track record before that. Look at his minor league levels combined, and that's the player he'll be.
Yeah, every year he was 3-3-5 kind of guy of a stat line. So yeah, he wouldn't be rated number 1, but if they went off of just April's numbers. So we're moving on to, you got a prospect that is your favorite one right now that you're targeting or eyeing?
Yeah, one guy I'm eyeing is Ronnie Mauricio from the Mets. He's currently listed as shortstop, but right now Buck Showalter said they're putting him in a utility role. They're trying to basically find him a spot, trying to get him moving around at AAA so they can get him up. He's hitting real well. He's hitting 350, 6 home runs, 4 steals, 16 runs, and 16 RBIs in 21 games. And a couple of those have been some bombs I've seen on Twitter. So they're trying to move him around, get him playing time elsewhere so they can find him a spot. I mean, the Mets right now, you got old Danny Burgers at DH. He's not, um, you know, Danny Burgers there, and then you got Kana in left field. He's not performing too well right now, but they said they're going to get Mauricio time at second, infield, corners, and outfield. So it sounds like they're doing what they can to get him, experience at other spots to get his bat in the lineup. So you never
I
know.
don't understand what the Mets are doing. The Mets are not playing good ball. Alonso's only hitting home runs. Lindor is not doing well. They call up Brett Beatty to sit him half the games. Mark, like you said, Mark Canha is not playing good ball. When you got Ronnie batting .330 with a slugging percentage of 622, 626 in the minor leagues. What else do you want that guy to prove down there? You're in it to win ball games. You saw last year in the NL East that one ball game matters. And it matters at the end of the year that you have that win over the Atlanta Braves to win the division. So what are you waiting for that you're going to let these scrubs? Eduardo Escobar is not your future. You've already shown that by calling up and giving split time to Brett Beatty. Give your future bats who are proving it at AAA more than just a platoon chance. I don't get it.
Yeah, I agree with that fully. Several guys that are replaceable there, and Beatty, like you said, had a big day today too. So maybe they'll start giving some of these guys more opportunities, more consistent at bats.
Yeah, I mean, of course, if they have just Beatty, how do you say Ronnie's last name? Marcino?
Marcio, yeah.
Marcio. They'd have a lot of power. They'd have a lot of power around that infield with Alonso, Lindor, Beatty. You've got Starling Marte in the outfield. Those guys maybe need to pick it up, the veterans, and just give them a little while. It's only April. Get those kids up, get them around the veterans, and then start rolling by June. Give the kids a chance. Stop bringing them up from AAA and platooning them. It's hard to get into a groove that way. I digress. All right, Wes, your prospect. Who you eyeing? Who you talking about?
I'm gonna build off your digressing. I'm not
My
entirely
rant.
sure what the Cardinals are doing.
Absolutely.
First of all, they sent Jordan Walker down. I mean, I guess okay, he wasn't exactly setting the world on fire, but he was hitting 274. He had 2 home runs, striking out a little too much, probably putting the ball on the ground too much. But they sent him down. I'm not entirely sure why. I mean, I guess they have a bunch of people in the outfield. Maybe they're trying to figure out playing time. I don't really know. But
they have a crowded outfield.
They do. The one guy I'm looking at, who is also a Cardinals pitcher, who's in AAA right now, Matthew Liberatore. He's pitched almost 250 innings at AAA over the last 3 seasons. He's
still in AAA?
He's in AAA right now.
I thought he was up with the big league team.
It's his 3rd season in AAA, and he's thrown 27 innings. He has a 2.6 ERA right now in AAA. He's striking out almost 12 per inning, and he's walking less than 3 per 9, which is much better than what he normally does. But I don't know what's keeping this guy at AAA. The Cardinals obviously need a spark. They've had a rough start to the season. I don't know where they're at right now or what kind of team they have. Typically you bring up a guy like this to kind of give your team a spark, maybe some new life, new blood. I don't know. The Cardinals just seem lost right now.
I mean, they started the whole year with a clubhouse killer of publicly coming out and trashing Tyler O'Neill for now. In my opinion, he wasn't not hustling. He knew the ball was hit to Ronald Acuna Jr. in right field and knew that dude had a cannon. So he was going to stop at third, and his third base coach got him thrown out at the plate. So now he publicly comes out and trashes Tyler O'Neill, ruins that clubhouse now, not starting Tyler O'Neill, and now you just got a mess because there's a couple of instances that O'Neill should have been out there.
And you send down Jordan Walker. Like, look, I get there's a crowded outfield out there, but you cannot tell me that Jordan Walker is not the best player in that outfield right now.
Right. I bet the A's would have been happy to take Tyler O'Neill off their hands. Lots of teams would have been. It sounds like the Cardinals front office is just messed up with they knew they had Jordan Walker coming, Nolan Arenado at third base, or Gorman coming up, Brendan Donovan. It sounds like they sat on their cards too long, and now they're in trouble.
Yeah.
They had way too many outfielders, 5-6 outfielders for 3 positions. They should have made a move for a starting pitcher.
Yeah. And Liberatore being in AAA right now makes no sense to me.
Right. Now they have one. They've had one who's been a top prospect for years now. They're giving up the fourth most runs in the NL, sitting in last place. 6 games under 500. So yeah, I'm with you, Wes. What is Matthew Liberatore doing? Great guy. Is he the Cardinals' number 1 guy?
That's a good question.
Jordan Walker is. And he just got sent down. Liberatore is their number 5 guy. He's actually their 3rd ranked pitcher, with Gordon Gracefo just ahead of him at AAA. So the Cardinals got 2 guys at AAA. Adam Wainwright coming back. Maybe they turn it around in May. It's only April, right, guys?
Tell that to some fantasy records out there.
Yeah, right.
People that start 0-3.
All right. I'm trying to be patient with my guys, okay? I'm not trying to overreact like I did with Jared Kelenic right away on week 1. I was doing something else and someone else brought up Kelenic and I was like, but the guy I'm most interested in is potentially being talked about being up this Saturday is Diamondbacks pitcher Brandon Pfaadt, Pfaadt, was the minor league strikeout leader of the year last year. Now with Madison Bumgarner DFA'd, he's on the same pitching schedule as him. You would have thought. So then they even came out and said, the Diamondbacks manager said, hey, we're not going with a 4-man rotation, even though we've got 3 days off. We're not going to do it. So just announce him already, please. Unless they are just trying to make it such a big deal on Saturday. I know Tommy's been taking a look at Brandon. Tommy, would you think Brandon is would you be picking it up in speculation right now?
Yeah, I absolutely would. I did pick him up in another league long before the call even game. I just think he's going to be worth holding on to for all the reasons you mentioned. I think he's someone who can make an impact this year and come up and really not have an issue to struggle based off what I saw, what he did in the minor league. So we've been wrong before, and prospects kind of do their own things. Like you said, Jordan Walker was a sure thing, and now he's gone. But I think if anybody has a chance to stay up, it's Brandon Pfaadt, however you say it. I'd love to have him where I can. Unfortunately, I don't have him in our main league.
Yeah, I think it helps with the new schedule this year that the Diamondbacks are not going to have to play the Padres and Dodgers as much. So Pfaadt gets to play the A's. He gets to play the White Sox. He gets to play the Royals this year. I think that's going to help younger pitchers when they don't have to in the NL West not have to just get beat up every other week by the powerhouses. So that's my pick. Will, you got another prospect for us? You want to run through another one real quick, each one of us?
Yeah, I'll put it on Colton Cowser from the Orioles. With the Orioles surprisingly looking, very good to start, very competitive. They've had a couple guys struggling. Santander hasn't been very well. Hasn't had a good start so far. Haven't been hitting very well, and the DH spot.
Outfield.
So, yeah, that DH outfield spot's pretty open. And he was hitting 278 19 home runs, 18 stolen bases last year in the minors. So he's one, I would keep an eye on, depending on kind of what your needs are. I could use some outfield. So that's why I'm keeping an eye on him to see, with the Orioles being competitive, if he may get a shot soon.
He was I think he was drafted 10th overall in the first round.
Yeah, if I remember right, too, he was a high draft pick.
He was drafted 5th overall in the 2021 draft. He's got 55 power. Every single tool is graded at 55. His fielding's 50. So excuse me, but I would think none of them are elite, but they're all above average.
Yeah. And like I said, it kind of depends on what you need. And I need outfield, so I'm just keeping an eye. Seeing what happens there. That's one I'm keeping an eye on.
Who was that again?
Don't worry about it.
Waiver claim added. Yeah, can you spell that for me?
Was it the Orioles guy, Coswell?
No, I think it was a Red Sox guy that listed.
Oh. Well, we don't have any prospects.
Marcel Mayer. That's who you should pick up. All right, Tommy, why don't you give us another prospect?
Yeah, so when we first made this list, I was going to give you Christian Encarnacion Strand, and then I realized I just talked about Elly De La Cruz, a Reds prospect who plays third base, and Strand also plays first base and third base, so I won't do that. Do your research on your own. Christian Encarnacion Strand is someone to look up. Wasn't really a top known prospect, but he's someone who can make a difference for you if you need it. Instead, I'm going to go with, and I talked about him in my last episode, but Logan Taylor Allen, the pitcher for the Cleveland Guardians. Pitching's always needed. Starting pitching is always needed. And so I think he's someone important to talk about. I talked about De La Cruz. He's not up. Allen is, as of today, as of recording, he is up. Allen's an interesting case, though, because he doesn't have just absolutely commanding stuff. He doesn't throw 99 at you. He's not going to some crazy wipeout slider that no one can touch, like a DeGrom type of thing. He sits like 90, 92, and his fastball tops out at 94. But he's got really good repertoire with his fastball, slider, splitter, cutter, and pretty good command. He's not a big guy. He's not overpowering, but he's got good deception from the left side and when he throws it. And I just think he's someone who can stick around. Fangraphs seems to like him. He's their top 13 overall starting pitcher. And he's
who that reminds me of? You know who that reminds me of?
Shane Bieber.
Kyle Hendricks. He's not overpowering, but he's got multiple pitches that he can locate.
Yeah, so I'm going to read his minor league numbers. This is through 3 seasons at all the levels in minor leagues. He pitched 258 innings for 340 strikeouts, which is almost 12 per 9, and his walk rate was less than 3 per 9, which is fantastic. His WHIP 1.1. I mean, he just had all the numbers that you want in a steady starter. He's not going to be a Garrett Cole. He's not going to be a Shane McClanahan. He's not going to just dominate people, but I think he's someone who can come up, give you innings. They let him go 6 innings the first start, get 8 strikeouts, and gives you reliable points and reliable accounting stats every week if they leave him up there. And even if they don't leave him up here right now, I think by the end of the season, he'll get the time because Cal Quantrill sucks. Who else is on the rotation? Plesac sucks.
Plesac, he's out, dude. His days are numbered.
If the Guardians want to compete, which it seems like they do every year, it's not a hard division to compete in. I think him, Bybee, Gavin Williams will all get starts, and I just think Allen's the most likely to get playing time sooner and stay up out of the 3 of those.
Okay, would you take Logan Allen over Bryce Elder?
Oh man, I think so. Bryce Elder's definitely got a job.
He got lit up yesterday, Will?
Yeah, three home runs.
Yeah, who's that?
I think
Houston.
Miami.
No, that was Miami.
Oh,
that was the homer that Jazz hit.
That's
right. So I think if you need somebody playing now, I don't know what the playing time is going to be like for Allen moving forward, but assuming he's up, I would take him over. But if you have one spot to play with and you need a guy to start for the rest of the season, Elder's probably a higher bet for that, but I think the floor is lower. Maybe the ceiling's lower even too.
Right. Okay. Now expanding further, let's add in a couple more guys. You got Taj from the Rays, Mason Miller from the A's, and Grayson Rodriguez and Logan Allen. Is Logan Allen above any of those guys?
He's above Mason Miller. I don't think he's going to have the innings. I don't think he's going to have the run support. Taj Bradley's at the top of that list. I know Grayson Rodriguez is the top prospect, but Taj Bradley, everything he's seen right now at every start, is fantastic. The Rays are manipulating him with his playing time, and they're doing race things. But in my rankings would go Taj Bradley. I guess Grayson Rodriguez. He's got the pedigree, but it's close. So we'll call it 2A. Grayson Rodriguez, 2B. Logan Allen, and then 4, Mason Miller. He's going to be great. He just plays for a horrible team. They're going to mismanage him. He'll never win games.
Of course. You would think that maybe the A's had that bad start and they'll level out at least and not go win 3 of every 20 games.
They're taking on purpose, man. They're taking on purpose. And
they have for 20 years. They have for 20 years.
I know.
This is the movie. If you've seen the movie Major League, where they're trying to suck on purpose to sell the team, this is real life right here.
That's exactly what it is.
They're major leaguing for the last 20 years. So, all right, who was that? That was Logan Allen. Tommy, if you need a starting pitcher, should he be owned or just watched?
I would own him. If you've got the roster to play with, and if he's starting, I would start him. But I can't guarantee him a job over the next month. So as long as he's pitching well, he's going to stay up. But they do have guys coming back who have the seniority, if they care about that. But if he's pitching, I'd start him.
All right. Wes, you want to give us a prospect name for you?
Yeah, I got one more to give you. The guy I'm going to give you, DL Hall, is not somebody I would pick up. I'll give you just the watch tag, because if I'm looking at the Orioles rotation, I think it was Kyle Bradish that kind of had a blow up start the other day. I'm looking at the guys that start for Baltimore, and obviously Grayson Rodriguez is the most owned of the 5. Grayson Rodriguez is owned at 84%. And then next highest guy is Kyle Gibson at 76. And you're looking at the Baltimore rotation, and you're like, man, there's not a true ace in here. Grayson Rodriguez might be that guy. So I just feel like at some point in time, there's going to be opportunity in the Baltimore rotation. DL Hall, I mean, he has the minor league pedigree. The only knock on him is he walks guys. He walks too many people. If he can figure that out, he will have an opportunity in the big leagues at some point in time. I feel like the Orioles will have to give him a chance in the starting rotation, because I just don't honestly expect Dean Kramer or Kyle Bradish or Tyler Wells to be a 15-year starter in the big leagues, or to be that guy that's going to win 15 games for them. So I feel like they're going to give DL Hall a chance to start. And when that happens, I would absolutely roster him, and I would likely start him, because the Orioles are a really good team and they're going to win some games. So, and DL Hall, he's striking out like 13 per 9 in the minor leagues. He's gonna get you strikeouts, right? He might walk 4, but he's gonna get you some strikeouts.
Right. He's got front half the rotation ability there. It's just got to stay healthy.
Yeah.
So, all right, I'll give us one more before we jump into Worryometer. It's gonna be quick, easy. It's Matt Mervis. The dude is crushing it at AAA. He's crushed it at every level last year. My only concern is, as soon as he comes up, would he split time? Because of Eric Hosmer at first base, Trey Mancini needs some time there as well at DH. But I think if he does well, like he has at every single level he's played, he's going to hit home runs for the Cubs. Left-handed bat, he's got protection. So if you got room for a first baseman to stash right now, I think he could be up in the next couple weeks. Edwin Rios is batting .053 for the Cubs. The Cubs are winning games. They can't keep playing for the future. They're winning now. They're in second place. Let's go. Moving on then into you got something, Thomas?
I had a quick question. When I was talking about all those prospects and I mentioned Taj Bradley at the top of that list, I think everybody agreed with me, right? Everybody agreed that I think it's
yes. Yeah, I'd agree. 100%. Yeah.
I was just looking at one of my teams trying to decide who else to start for next week, and I had 2 guys. Obviously, I can't do this because Taj Bradley's not up. But assuming Taj Bradley's up, who would you rather start or have rest of the season? Taj Bradley or Chris Sale?
I'm more excited about Taj Bradley.
I'd say Taj Bradley.
It's the way the Rays are playing as a whole right now. I would agree.
Yeah, I
Chris-
hate to agree with you guys, but I think that's it, which pains me as a Red Sox fan, but he's not good.
For the more immediate future, Tommy, who would Taj Bradley be starting against? Do you know?
I don't know when he's come back up. They said they want to get him on a 5-day rotation. They may take 2 weeks. But assuming he comes up, I think I'd start Taj Bradley over Chris Sale.
I think I'd rather have him over Chris Sale just rest of the year.
I'd rather have Mason Miller over Chris Sale. I think you guys are poo-pooing on the A a little too hard.
All right, we're going to mute your mic for 15 seconds and mute.
So worryometer, we've got the worryometer here where we'll go from either, hey, we think we should drop this guy, or no, hold on to him a little bit more, or hey, this guy should still be rostered, or hey, this guy's a must start. So anywhere ranging from 1 to 10, give you our feel of our concern of elite players, possibly, and are they going to bounce back? I know the top of our list of worryometer, I'll let Wes dig into him. Manny Machado. Wes, are you concerned about Manny Machado?
I'm concerned about Manny. It started with the contract negotiations and all the off-season stuff. Look, he had a great year, and so I dug in to try and find out like what's going on with Manny. And you look at his Baseball Savant page, and it's all blue except for max exit velocity. He's currently hitting 225 right now. So if you look at his, I thought maybe it was just something where he's like a slow starter, but then you go back and look at his previous seasons and he's like, 270, 280 hitter in April. And then he will typically go April and like a 290 hitter in May. And, I don't know what's going on with Manny right now, man, but he's not hitting the ball hard. It would be one thing if he was just, if he was striking out, but he's hitting the ball hard, or like he's not hitting the ball hard. He's above 50 percentile in strikeouts. He's not getting on base. So I don't really know what to think about Manny right now, but he's probably an 8 or 9 on the scale, on the worryometer scale for me right now. I would say that he might also be a buy low candidate, which is, the other side of the coin. You might could get Manny for pretty cheap right now, but
who would you rather have rest of season though? Manny Machado or Matt Chapman?
I would say Manny because of the track record. I think that Chapman's track record says his ceiling is probably a 260 hitter with 25 to 30 home runs, whereas Manny's ceiling is a 280, 290 hitter with 35 to 38 home runs. So I think I'd rather have Manny, and he's in a better lineup. Well, that's not necessarily true. The Padres lineup's pretty good, but
Matt Chapman's best year, 2019 with Oakland, he scored 500 points in fantasy baseball. Okay.
Manny Machado.
No, he hasn't repeated.
He's never done that twice. Not even close.
Manny Machado's best year, I think, was last year. He scored 523 points. I take that back. He has a better year. 577 with LA. His 1 year with LA. He scored 577. But otherwise, he's been in the same point range as Matt Chapman's best year. He's been around that more, where Matt Chapman, that was his highest. So
Chapman's 2021, 2022 were almost identical. He hit 210 with 27 bombs, 72 RBIs, and 21. And last year was 229 with 27 homers again and 76 RBIs. So it's kind of in, that same area, very low average, about 27 bombs, 70, 80 RBIs. So I think Machado is definitely the go-to there of the two.
He's got the higher ceiling than Matt Chapman, but Matt Chapman's off to a fantastic start in a contract year. I like to target guys in contract years. So Will, are you as worried as Wes about Manny? He gave him an 8. Are you up there with him in an 8?
I wouldn't say quite an 8. I was just because I feel like
He said, "Calm down,
Right.
Wes. Calm
Well,
down."
I'm thinking like
You're overreacting.
I got guys on my own team that I'm like, shoot, those guys are 8s, and I was thinking Machado, with his track record, I would say like a 5 maybe. I think he'll turn it around with Machado.
So we were talking before the show started about this, and kind of every year you have to recalibrate what your drop-o-meter means. And we were kind of playing around 1 through 10. What that means is one's a must start. You're not worried about them, not an issue. 2, 3, somewhere 4 is start. You're going to start no matter what, but not a must start. 5, 6 ranges. You want them on your roster, but you have to start them. 7, 8, 9. We're talking this. It's kind of like a 10 team. You could drop them, and 10 means it doesn't matter what league it is. You can drop them, even the deepest. And Wes, you said 8 or 9, and I'm not going to hold you to it. Would you drop him in a 10 teams league?
No, I would bench him.
Yeah. So I would probably give him about a 5 or 6 as well. I'm not ready to drop Machado. He's got way too much history. But I don't know if I could start him right now until he shows me.
If you could find a better option who is hotter hitting, would you start Brian Anderson over him or Patrick Wisdom over him?
Ride the wave for sure.
Yes. Yeah, I'd start Brian Hayes over him right now.
Oof, that's getting down. It's true. But Spencer Steer scoring more points. DJ LeMahieu. Let me keep scrolling. There's Machado, Jake Berger, Luis Renfango, Nick Matan, Gunnar Henderson, Anthony Rendon.
You can stop. No one's going that deep.
Jordan Walker. Jordan Walker has 10 more fantasy points, and he has almost 30 less plate appearances. And he's in the minor leagues.
What are the Cardinals doing?
What are they doing?
What are they doing, man? I just don't get it.
I don't. Not even just with Jordan Walker, but with Liberatore and their outfield situation.
Can I talk about my theory with Jordan Walker?
I would love you to talk about your theory.
So this is my theory.
Wes would not love it, but would love you if you talked about it.
Yeah, I'm going to go through this pretty quickly. But Jordan Walker started with a 12-game hit streak, and which was great. I think that's like
they said, whoa! You're going to win Rookie of the Year and cost us something.
Well, no, I think what happened there is one of two things. So the Cardinals said that he started to slump towards the end of that. He did lose his hit streak, and he sat a couple games. They had some outfielders come back. The outfielder was crowded, so he wasn't getting the playing time. When he wasn't getting the playing time, he wasn't hitting as well. So he needed to work on his swing. And that's the Cardinals' way to not avoid a lawsuit from Jordan Walker when he gets sued for playing with the service time, stating that it's not a problem. Send him down. What I think is that the owners found a loophole in the CBA now where you bring a guy up. If he does great, you keep him up there. If he doesn't, you send him back down. But he's not going to beat out Corbin Carroll, Kodai Senga, James Outman. Those 3 guys are probably the favorites to win NL Rookie of the Year right now. So Jordan Walker is maybe 4th, 5th, 6th, but they're not going to get the compensation they want out of that. Send him down for 2 or 3 weeks. I think 20 days is what they need. Say he's practicing his swing, bring him back up, and they get the year of eligibility. That's my theory. I think that's probably correct too.
Yeah, it's a great strategy looking at if you want to try to play in that service time game, except you already have to give him a 40-man spot, and then you have to plan to bring somebody else up. Where usually the guys that you're trying to give a chance to are Eric Hosmer, Edwin Rios of the Cubs, cheap guys who think, hey, we're going to give you an opportunity. Either you make it or you're not, and you're going to get cut, DFA'd. So if you do that backwards, you have to have where the Cardinals did, though. They had 5 other outfielders and a third baseman already. So it worked out for the Cardinals to play that game, Tommy. So makes sense. It looked good for the organization. Jordan Walker made it. Woohoo!
I think you bring up a good point. I didn't think about that, but I think the compensation.
But they had it. They had it. Exactly what you said. They had the opportunity.
I think the compensation of a draft pick and the reward of all that, if you won, was good to give him that 40-man spot versus if you didn't, they'll just send him back down and get the year of eligibility or arbitration, I should say. we'll see.
So
Yeah,
all
so
right.
it's a band-aid to a bigger problem, right? So it's like you go back and look at the service time manipulation, and they've just found a loophole where they can bring them up for 3 weeks and send them back down, and it's still the same problem.
Right. Tommy, give us somebody you're worried about, sweating about over there.
Oh, I got no problems. My teams are perfect.
I didn't say in your team, Brian.
Yeah,
Help somebody else.
I think another big name that everybody's heavily invested in is Juan Soto. We may have talked about him before, but I think it warrants it again because it's been a couple weeks, and he hasn't gotten much better. He's still getting on base at a really good rate, but he's not hitting, and he's not hitting for power, and that is not Juan Soto typical. I don't know what's going on. Maybe it's the contract discussions that he turned down so much. He got traded to San Diego.
Petco Park.
Yeah,
It's not a hitter's
maybe.
ballpark.
I mean, he's still hitting the ball well. He's just not hitting it very much. He's striking out a lot, so he's not got a good average. But his average exit velocity is still 87th percentile, max exit velocity 87th percentile, slug expected slug 74th percentile. So those are all good numbers. He's just not making contact with the ball and striking out, and that's not him at all. I think years past he walks more than he strikes out, and he's not doing that right now.
Right. He was usually the guy that does not strike out.
Yeah. So I something's wrong with his swing. I don't know what it is. I have faith he will figure it out. I still think he's must start because I think any day, well, not must start. Maybe I'll give it a 3. Say he's a start, not a must start. But I think any day he could figure this out.
I'd have a hard time taking a first round pick out of my lineup.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd still keep him in, honestly. The must start, but
Did you guys see the thoughts that he was concerned about the pitch clock and that was messing up his rhythm in the box and whatever?
because he does all that stupid step forwards and
Yeah, I read that somewhere, and it was, I don't know if it was him. I think it was him that made the comment. That he had to figure out a way to go through his routine with the pitch clock, and he wasn't able to actually go through his hitting routine on a pitch by pitch basis, and that was affecting his mental preparation for each pitch.
interesting.
You wonder if that's meant. So that's my concern is with. I was going to mention Soto, but Alek Manoah. If the pitch clock's messing with him and his rhythm, he's a big boy that needs time to catch his breath, and you wonder if he's going to be able to bounce back and just find a new rhythm. Because the younger guys who come up and have that rhythm already ingrained in them from the minor leagues, I think Manoah just missed that when they were doing that in the minor leagues.
Manoah's got that dog in him though, but it's the wrong dog. It's that hot dog. He's just a big boy.
Have a couple salads is what someone said, didn't they? But yeah. I mean, the dude finished 3rd in Cy Young last year. Was a near rookie of the year candidate the year before. I'm not too worried about him. I'm about a 5 on him. I still think he's got it. I think it's still the month of April. I'm not going above a 5 in the month of April. I'm trying to let guys figure it out through May. Especially in Toronto. I guess they're in the dome, but get into the warmer months where those muscles feel good and you start actually sweating a little bit more, just standing there warming up. So, any other notes or thoughts on Manoah or any other worries there you have?
Yeah, I've got one. If I can jump in, it's Sandy Alcantara, the reigning Cy Young
absolutely
in the National League. He's not been bad per se. He's still pitching. He does carry a 5 ERA and 26 strikeouts in 30 innings, so maybe it's bad.
Yeah, so he's still pitching. He's still pitching.
Yeah, the WHIP is 1.15, and we talk about WHIP, and that's fine. The velocity is the same. The spin rates are the same. The extension's the same. The only thing I can figure out that's changed is the shift. He's a huge ground ball pitcher, and we've seen it now more than ever. The ball's just getting through. But I don't think it explains everything. I don't think that's that much bad luck. He's not striking out guys as much as he used to last year.
You think they thought about that? I know they thought about a lot of like Joey Gallo, Cody Bellinger, Eric Hosmer type of guys who pulled the ball a lot and how the shift would affect them. Did they think about ground ball pitchers and how it would affect them? I didn't think about that.
I don't think we dove very far into that. I think we assumed that the hitters would be affected, which they were, obviously, right? And they have been. And we're in a much more offensive environment right now. But I don't know that we figured ground ball pitchers would be affected the way that they are.
Yeah.
And that honestly, that might contribute to, like we were talking about it the other day. Every night there's another guy that gives up 5 or 6 runs, and you're like, oh man, how did that happen?
Yeah, there's not a guy standing behind 4 guys standing behind second base, and there's not 7 guys in the outfield on the right side. So yeah, hits are going to get through. But as far as to wrap it up, the Worryometer, he's still a good pitcher. If he stays the same,
You spent a lot of money on him, probably in draft capital.
Yeah.
Cy Young last year. He's going to at least be a top 15 starting pitcher probably for you by the end of the year. He's not going to be your...
Yeah, I was going to say, I give it a 3.5 based off of what you invested in him.
3.5.
Yeah, I'm getting detailed here because I'm still starting him, but I'm not necessarily going to like it because I expected him to be a 1.
I think
Right.
I still
You
got
pro-
him as a must start just on how thin pitching is. It's so thin. I mean, what
Yeah,
he's doing
that's
is still
fair.
leagues above what you're
Yeah.
going to come close to finding in depth, I think. But I definitely hear you because I got him in another league and he's struggling.
No, don't.
You never know when he's going to. You never know when he's going to throw 9 innings.
Don't tell Ethan that though. I'm going to try to get him from him. So make him like a 6 or 7.
We'll find out if Ethan listens or not, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm very concerned about Alcantara. Ethan, you need to trade him right now.
Let's make a special reel right here. Sandy Alcantara. What do you guys got him on the Worryometer?
Oh,
10.
sell low.
Drop him.
He's not worth
Drop him. Get him out of here.
Yeah, I think he's droppable right now. I mean, his stuff just doesn't look good. He's been hit really hard, so I would get what you can for him right
Yeah.
now.
it. Exactly. Get what you can.
All right. Well, that will wrap up our Worryometer there, guys. This has been episode 7 of Fantasy Baseball Camp. If you got other worries, hey, should I drop this guy for this guy? Shoot us a message. Shoot one of these guys a message. They will respond. You can go individual or to the main page. We will respond, and we'll talk about it here on our next show. But for me, it's been the whole camp here tonight. Michael, Will, Wes, and Tommy. We got the Fantasy Baseball Camp here. Catch us next time. And we'll take care later.